Welcome to the Mesonet Weather Report. I'm Wes Lee. Temperature is one of the driving forces for all living things. In general, the warmer the temperature, the faster the organism develops. In wheat, monitoring temperatures above a minimum threshold of 40 degrees helps us estimate what stage of development the plant is in. This year, it has been warmer than normal on average. Here you can see the daily average temperatures for the south-central region of Oklahoma. The dark line at 0 would be the long-term average temperature, and the red line shows how far above or below normal it has been lately. During this period, the temperature was above normal 2 out of every 3 days. First hollow stem is the growth stage where cattle are removed from dual-purpose wheat. Cattle left to graze after this stage can severely impact grain yield. Reds on this map shows where first hollow stem might be occurring in the south on varieties that routinely reach this stage early. On middle maturing varieties, there is limited red areas on the map, but increasing daily. A note of caution, these models assume the wheat is actively growing and planted on a normal date. This year, delayed planting and moisture-limited growth may have these maps overestimating the real situation. Field scouting is the only way to know for sure. Now here's Gary with some improvements to the drought map.
Thanks, Wes, and good morning, everyone. Well, we finally had some great movement on the drought monitor map reflecting all those wonderful rains over the last couple of weeks. Let's get right to that new map and take a look. Well, as you can see, really southeast of I-44, as I mentioned last week, we had great changes coming this week, and for sure that's showing up on the map. Now we have a good portion of the far southeast Oklahoma without any color at all, so no drought or abnormally dry conditions. And then we quickly go to moderate to mostly severe drought, a little bit of extreme drought, but certainly better than what we had a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, as we get up into northwestern Oklahoma, we're dealing with mostly extreme to exceptional drought. So those are the areas that continue to miss out on the rainfall. If we look at those changes on the U.S. Drought Monitor class change for 1 week, so from last week to this week, we had a 1 class improvement basically across the southeastern half of the state, a little bit up into northwestern Oklahoma. Of course, these are wonderful changes reflecting that rainfall, but we were the center point in the country of big changes at least. So good news for Oklahoma. Those changes were highlighted by the 30-day Mesonet rainfall map. Again, we can see highlighted southeast of I-44 basically, the big rains, especially up into northeastern and southeastern Oklahoma, where 4 to 6 to 7 to even as much as 10 inches fell. We do get a little bit lower down on the scale as we go into northwestern Oklahoma, but almost everybody had at least appreciable rainfall over the last 30 days. So you get out in the Panhandle where they had less than a quarter inch, they're still hurting pretty badly out in that region of the state. The percent of normal rainfall map for the last 30 days shows it better than the departure from normal. So if we look at this map, we see those wonderful blues indicating 150 to 200% of normal across basically, again, the southeastern half of the state, but also bleeding up into parts of north central Oklahoma. Again, though, that Panhandle region and far northwest still showing big deficits, especially out across the western Panhandle. Boise City had 17% of normal rainfall over the last 30 days, so extremely dry out in that region. So a great start as we go into the early part of spring, as we get into March. Hopefully we can have a little bit more here during February and stamp out a little bit more drought, hopefully in northwestern Oklahoma. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.